if today this is someone who has been lunching with you, who has been talking to you, you've been going out a lot, even after work drinks, to find out that this person is not in that list for the wedding.
Oh, were you sending wrong signals?
Yeah, correct.
Today's one is sent in by Andy. I didn't invite a colleague to my wedding, but I did invite some others. He is offended, and I'm worried that this will affect our working relationship because he also blocked me on social media. What should I do? I know some people might be thinking, hey, it's a straightforward one, right? Don't care what this colleague thinks. It's your wedding, Andy, and you decide who makes the list or not. But I don't think Andy is regretting his decision here. The problem is he thinks it's going to affect the working relationship, and likely so because, sounds like this colleague is not very mature in the way that he's dealing with it. So, Gerald, what do you think Andy should do?
This question is so relevant, right?
Yeah.
It's like something that all of us worry about, whether we are going for like a important event like a wedding, who should we invite, and we get limited tables. And unfortunately, some people must be left out. If your colleague blocked you on social media for this reason, then maybe your colleague really felt really left out and sidelined by you. Maybe you want to consider this, whether you feel that it's reasonable for your colleague to respond to you in this way.
Okay.
Right? What I mean by reasonable
Yeah.
is if today this is someone who has been lunching with you, who has been talking to you, you've been going out a lot, even after work drinks, you chat a lot, you work very closely, and then to find out that this person is not in that list for the wedding,
Oh, okay.
then it means something.
Okay.
Right? So first, Andy, you got to consider whether...
Were you sending wrong signals?
Yeah, correct. I mean, you
Ah.
can imagine if today someone that's very close to you didn't invite you for something important, but yet invited somebody that's seemingly not so close to you at the workplace.
Okay.
Right? Then you'll be asking a lot of questions like, why am I not invited? So I think, Andy, you got to put yourself in your colleague's shoe and consider whether is it right or reasonable for your colleague to feel this way.
Yeah.
And of course, if it's unreasonable
Yeah.
for them to react in this way, then maybe you can consider what can realistically be done. The colleague's action to block you on social media could be their own way to cope
Yeah.
with their disappointment.
And it's not something you can control.
Yeah, you can't. You cannot be like the social media police and say, hey, why do you block me?
Yeah.
And it's going to make things really, really awkward. So that's not a very realistic thing, confronting them, and it will even seem petty to do so. And then along the way, if you observe certain behaviors or changes in terms of how you're working together, maybe you want to have the clear the air conversation to try to find out like what happened. I noticed certain things are different. The way we interact with each other is different. Maybe you can have a chat about it. Yeah. Then if this wedding thing comes up, then maybe you can apologize and you can say, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because then you can explain your limitations as well.
Yeah. I mean, between the two of us, I'm more of the confrontational type of character, right? But actually, I think in this case, there's no need to, try and highlight. Don't need to say, hey, let's sit down and then let's have a chat because I noticed things are a bit, awkward, frosty between us. Is it because I didn't invite you to my wedding? I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah.
Because I think let that matter pass, right? It's one of those things that I feel perhaps even upon reflection, and these colleagues might also think maybe that wasn't, the most mature way to deal with things, but I don't know how to get away from this right now. So it's okay. I think it's perfectly fine to continue to try and separate work from pleasure. So work with your colleague Andy like you usually do. Maybe go back to inviting your colleague back for lunches if you have been doing so, right? So just say, hey, you want to go for lunch? If your colleague says no, then okay, so be it. But if your colleague says, yeah, okay, sure, that's also a way for them to, try and mend things without pointing out the elephant in the room.
That's right. Right.
And if in doubt, Andy, just name your firstborn after this colleague, right? Easy. This person will forgive you. Well, if like Andy, you have a work-related question, do write into us. We are at cnapodcasts@mediacorp.com.sg. Otherwise, you can find us on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube.
I'm Gerald.
And I'm Tiffany. Have a good lunch this week.